Welcome back, everybody. We are back with another session of arts and crafts. First off, I just want to say that it is allergy season here in my area, so I apologize for any sniffles, coughs, or just general spaciness that comes with taking too much Benadryl. But we are back with something exciting. We got a little package here from Culture Hustle. You might know them for the guy that did, yeah, you can already see it in the frame there. That did, the blackest black, black 2.0, black 3.0, the pinkest pink, which was kind of surprising they came out with that first instead of the whitest white. Yes, that's right. I got the beta set here of the whitest white. They got 3 different strains for me to test out, 1, 2, and 3 right there. They also sent me this cool little sticker pack here. Turn right side up. We got a couple different things. I think my favorite here, other than I am the testiest tester, because that's kind of funny, is the no, God help me, beetles were harmed in the production of this paint. What I can tell you about that is that those kind of beetles, their shells in particular, when they're dead and they dry out, the shells are the whitest pigment known to man. At least it was until Culture Hustle decided to come out with this stuff. So what we're doing today, other than a little bit of testing, we're going to try it out. We're going to paint some more stripes. You might remember this guy from the previous video or earlier in the video, depending on how I decide to shoot this and edit things together. But yeah, we're going to throw some stripes on there, a couple sets of stripes, just kind of see how that works out, just to test out the different properties of the paint. Got some ping pong balls there too. We're going to probably paint half of each of them, just to kind of, again, get a general sense of how it goes. And then the part that I'll probably skip filming all of is actually we're going to paint this guy with the white itself. Kind of have an idea of what I might have done with the black. You can already see what I did with part of the red. Funny story there. So this used to be covered in 2 different layers, or well, several layers of 2 different colors of spray paint. It's gone through many color changes over its years. It's trying to get that off so get a nice fresh base, to paint the white onto. And of course, it's plastic under here. When I was stripping the rest of the case, which you can see over there. Ooh. I'll kind of go over that later on when everything's done and painted. Anyways, when I was stripping the rest of the case, used some strippies, peeled the paint right off. Didn't really do much to the metal because it's aluminum. In fact, it just made it nice and shiny, bright, easy to paint on. Can't really use strippies on plastic. It'll just melt right through. So I was looking for other alternatives. Some things I found online, yes, I know, don't trust what the research online, but you research a couple different things, it makes sense. Was saying to use acetone. This is a good idea. Okay, cool. Well, I used to have this nice red coat in here. I might even have a part still that shows it, what the red used to look like. It was the old red that was on the inside. In fact, I think there's a part on the inside in there that I didn't quite paint because you can't see it anyways, and there's no sense in painting it and wasting the paint. I'm kind of glad I didn't because so I tried to tape over the parts of the red that I wanted to save, mask it off in hopes that the acetone wouldn't eat away. Well, it had quite the opposite effect. In fact, what ended up happening is the acetone immediately evaporated off the paint because I just put it on, left it hoping it would do something, and it just immediately evaporated off. Meanwhile, the parts that I had masked leached up the acetone, kind of soaked it in like a sponge, and peeled all the paint off the parts that I had masked. So in the process, not only did it so I decided to take that little bit of knowledge, and I decided to mask all the parts that I didn't want to acetone, and unmask all the parts that I didn't, but by then it was too late. I already had to repaint this, so that's why I was really hoping I could make the paint stretch, and it barely did. It looks a little better. I did a previous take where you could see some pretty obvious darker spots. I think part of it had to do with the fact that I didn't use a clean brush. I think there was still like a chunk of black in there, and then just running low. Shoot, I forgot what I was saying. Anyways, use some of the Dazzle stuff in there. You can actually see that. It looks pretty good. I like the way that turned out. Um, oh, you're right. Yeah, so I acetoned this. Did the tape thing to it. Threw the acetone on it. Let it sit for about, or too long. Half hour or so. Came back down. Peeled the tape off. And some of the paint came off with the tape, which was good, but everything else was just pretty much stuck on. But in the process, you really can't see it. Oh, yeah, you kind of can, yeah. This used to be a flat plastic. You can really see it in some of the other spots here, like, yeah, right there. This was not had this, like, stone marbleized look to it prior to the acetone treatment. So I think it looks kind of cool, actually. But for future reference, if anybody knows of a way of getting spray paint, several layers of spray paint, off of plastic without damaging the plastic, leave me a tip in the comments below. I would love to know, because I'm sure I'm going to run into this situation again where I don't necessarily want that marbling stone looked and really do want to keep that smooth plastic. But for today, I'll take it. It'll probably look real nice with that whitest white. So the biggest problem I was having is actually trying to find some clean brush, because all of my other brushes I used for my last project, and yeah, so they all have remnants of black and red in it. I really don't want to mess with that. I try and clean it. I'm just not the greatest at cleaning stuff. I mean, just look at my apartment. I'm really not that greatest at cleaning stuff. And but so we'll try out the couple different brushes. I found a few small brushes. I'll try here. I'd love to use these, but they're like this real stiff, like horse hair, like shoot, that's almost like pig's hair, like boar hair stiff. So we'll try that out, and then I'll probably paint a little bit of the actual case, come back, see what it looks like, make a few comments, let it dry. Right now I'm trying to let this dry a little bit more before I really get in on it, so that's why I'm going to mess with this stuff first. But let me get set up here, I'll stop rambling, and we'll get going. Oh, one last thing, I almost forgot about this. This is kind of cool too. I'm assuming it's painted in the whitest white. You can't even see it, but someplace on here, there it is. Yeah, you can't even see it on camera. Camera doesn't like it. It says the whitest white pencil, so that's pretty cool too. Anyways, yeah, let me get the tripod set up and we'll get cooking. Alright, we are all set up here, about ready to pour the first strain here. This does say strain beta 1. Don't know if you can see that, don't really care. But just trust me, it says strain beta 1. Got 1, 2, and 3. We're going to try them out here. Just give it a little dull up. I did give it a good shake off camera. You don't need too much. Just about that much. Make sure we give it a dry off. And then we're just going to grab one of the brushes. Clean that off. Alright. So, first impressions, I do like the a good surface tension. Very bright. I have to wonder, is this like the brightest white thing in existence, or is it just the brightest white pigment? I'd have to imagine that, just bleached paper or certain other things, that fridge has to be whiter than this. But we'll see. We're going to check it out. I'm going to just start by adding a little stripe right there. I think I might have used the wrong brush for this. That's okay. Let's get rid of a little stripe ski right there. Alright. I like it. It has good thick opacity. How's the ping pong ball do? Nice dusty ping pong balls that I dug out of my cat's toys. Let's see. Alright, just that little bit's going quite a bit. Definitely need a nice light touch, as you did with, I've discovered with the other ones. You want a nice light, like you can load it on there with some pretty heavy strokes, but then to finish and get that nice consistent color, you really want some nice light touches. And then once you do, you want to go the other direction of which way you start. Now, I'm no expert art teacher. I'm sure there's better people who can teach you the right techniques on how to paint your ping pong balls. This is just my observation that if you're not careful with it, you use too heavy of a stroke, you'll definitely see, some bleed through of the substrate, basically. This doesn't look too bad though, I have to say. Get my eyes to focus. Goodness gracious! Come on, allergies. Keep painting here. Like, yeah, I mean, it keeps unloading from the brush. And I love that about these paints. That's one thing, is that they just come off. Like you think you're done with it. And you're like, okay, that's all I need. But it can just keep going. And like even just this little bit down here is just pretty solid white. I like it. It's a nice color. I'm gonna let that dry. Oh, screw it. We got a little bit more paint here. Let's go ahead and give it a quick little second coat. Just see what I can get real quick on it. There we go. Wow. My eyes are almost having a hard time focusing, but that's just my eyes, I think, more so than paint. So yeah, not too bad. I like it. I'm pretty good. Again, you gotta use that light touch. I think I'm gonna have to let this one dry, possibly go on a different direction with it. That's pretty white. If I show most of this on camera, most of the stuff you can't really see, or probably couldn't see most of that. But I mean, shoot, that's a nice eggshell on there. See it reflecting a lot of that light coming off my overheads. We're gonna let that dry. Might give it a second coat later on in the video. Problem with ping pong balls is they like to roll. Anyways, that'll stick there. Whatever. Just, yeah, perfect. Thank you. Of course, I picked the heavy side to paint. We go rinse out the brush, and we'll hit number 2. All right, number 2. Got a little bit on the outside there, but all right, let's get the support here. So part of the reason, actually the biggest reason I'm kind of doing these little tests, apart from it, they did want my feedback on it, is I want to try and get a feel for where I'm going to put each kind, basically. Like, because I have 3 different strains here. I got more or less 3 different surfaces to paint. That's a little bit more gloopy, I think. I should probably be noting this. Well, I guess I got it all on video. So I got 3 different surfaces to paint, 3 different strains. I'm just going to try and figure out which one I want to put where. Honestly, it really doesn't matter in the end. Alarm's going off, I don't mind that. But if I have a general idea of like, have a nice shiny one that I want to put on that side or on the front, or if like I feel like that will durable better, hold up better, probably, whatever, use it. But also just kind of fun to see what this stuff is. Anyway, whoops, we're not to you yet. Hold on, we got to paint her still. All right, another little stripe. This stuff seems a little, I don't know, can't really tell from a little dollop. Nose. Give it a good belly. Honestly, don't care what it looks like. We're just looking at what the paint does. I think this number 2 seems a little thinner. Doesn't seem to load quite onto the brush as much. Again, this could be the brush. I'm using different brushes, but let's see. Drop it on there. Yeah, it seems to just kind of spread really well, which is good. You can make it travel way far. I won't take that back. Even that. Yeah, this one just seems like a very thin base to it, thin consistency to it. So if that's the case, like if that has a little bit thickerness to it, then like this I might use on the lower part and on this part here where you're not going to be able to really see it. But yeah, you can kind of see like, this there's parts of here where it only has more or less one coat on it. It's a nice thick coat. This, it's a nice even coat. I will give it that. It is very even, but then again, that could be the brush I'm using. But it just spreads super thin. And it doesn't have much go. Like, it dries out like super fast. Like, whereas that one I was just painting all over with it. So, not too impressed with strain 2. I like strain 1 a little bit better. This stuff is super thin, very even, whereas this stuff is a little more, you gotta push it around a bit more. Strain 2 definitely seems a lot thinner and a lot more consistent though, but you're gonna have to take 2 or 3 coats to put it on, it seems. So it means, which means you're gonna be using a lot more of it. I would much prefer maybe to do a little extra work with just 1 coat, where you just have to spread it a little bit more and make it look good, than having to put on a coat, let it dry, put on a coat, let it dry, put on a coat, let it dry, using 3 times as much paint as I did with just the first one. Anyways, once again, let me go rinse out the paintbrush here, and we'll give number 3 a try, and then we'll try and clear things out here, hopefully. I don't think that's quite dry yet. Well, maybe pause the video, let things dry, move things around, and then we'll start maybe painting the side, and we'll see what else happens here. So yeah, be right back. Alright, we are back. Decided, I wanted to make sure it wasn't just my brush causing those consistency issues, so I went and cleaned out that other one again real good, dried it off a little bit, and then I found a clone of it too that we're going to use for number 3. But we're just going to try real quick just to see. It's the brush. No, it's definitely, yeah, look at that, just real thin. You can just try, yeah, look at how quick it just dumps out. So yeah, that's a real thin consistency on that one. It's not just the brush. But I should really rinse that one out. Don't care. I'm not really gonna use these ever again. They're about a penny a piece anyways. So let's dump out a little bit of number 3 if we can find a clean spot. We'll give this a good, you know what? Maybe that's the other problem. Give it a good shake. Good shake. Give the other one a decent shake. I give the first one a real good shake. So let's give this one a real good shake too. Alright. There we go. Just a little dollop and do it. Don't sue me to sour creaming. Ooh. I like this. Okay, this is kind of a weird thing. The other 2 I didn't really smell. That one smells nice. It's like a... Hold on. What did we do here, Stuart? It's like a pistachio almond vanilla. I just have to laugh because the black 2.0 smells like black cherries, and then the red smells like strawberries, or, you know, red, like red Kool-Aid basically. Fruit punch. So, hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not sniff your paint. Yeah, so that one just smells like base paint. This one smells, that one's funny. That's funny. And this one I'm pretty sure doesn't smell like anything either. Oh. Yeah, that one just mostly smells like almonds, interestingly enough. This one, though, definitely has like a pistachio and some vanilla. Has like a definite mix to it. Anyways, enough rambling, enough messing around. Let's get to painting. See what this thing looks like. Alright. Third. Ooh, that is thick. That's what he thought. There's a little paint in the back here. Painter tail. Yeah, look at that go on. Ooh, I like it. Daddy like it. Number 3 is by far my favorite. As I set down the stuff I just painted. Whatever. Whatever, what you gonna do? even then it's stuck on there pretty well. Let's do the ping pong test. Hold on before I make any final judgments. Oh. Oh yeah, baby. So this is gonna go on the side, I think. Just mostly because it has, look at that. Look at that spreadability. That consistency that comes with it. It spreads real nice, I like it. And then just keeps unloading. Yep. Number 3 is your winner, Stuart. Kick number 2 off the island. And then I guess he didn't go too wrong with number 1, but number 3, there's just a little bit more magic to it. It just has a nice thick consistency. I will say it does take a bit more to push this stuff around. I really gotta be deliberate with my strokes here. And you gotta come in with that light touch, but holy crap, yeah, that's white. Yep, I like that. Can you see that on there? Yeah. Cool. So I think the game plan, folks, number 1 is gonna go on the front. I don't know how much of that's in shot here. Yeah, so you can kind of see it there. So we're gonna put that right there on the front there. That's gonna be all number 1. Number 2, Mr. Reject, is gonna go right here. In all honesty, I might just do number 1 on both parts, depending on how much I have left after doing the front. So we'll do the front first, number 1, because I'd like to do also maybe the fan part, if nothing else. Maybe I'll do like just from. Can't even see that. Hold on. Twist, 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 twist. Yeah, so I'll do like here up to number 1, and then all of this in number 2. Do the front way up there in number 1, and then the winner will go on. Can't even see, it's buried under everything over here. I don't even know why I have a candle on the table still. That needs to get the heck out of the way. There we go, just put it on the floor. Yeah, and then number 3, just gonna go on there. I didn't prime this because, as you can tell, it's already a nice silver color. So I didn't figure it'd be too much of a need to prime. So yeah, so I'm gonna just kind of end it here for a moment. I'm gonna let things dry out, and then get things shifted around, cleaned up, and I'll do probably a little bit of painting, and then check in with you guys most likely after I get the majority of it done, if not all of the first coat here. So hang tight. It'll be just a second for you, and back in a few hours for me. Alright, what is up, folks? We are back. Just a quick update here. It's the next day. I've gone ahead and masked. I'm not going to touch it because it's all still drying right now, but I went and masked the inside there of the red because it's all nice and dry. Let that dry overnight. Masked it up, and I've put beta strain number 1 on the front of the case here. I'm probably going to have to do a second coat on it, and I'm probably going to run to the store and get a better brush because you can already see in this picture, like, the brush I was using, well, first I tried using that thing, the sponge brush, and yeah, that worked for about 2 strokes, and then it just stopped working. But I was using this other vacuum cleaner, this thing. I mean, it's great for putting primer down, but it's really not meant for a nice fine coat. Especially with this kind of experimental nature consistency stuff where it seems to kind of, yeah. But so I might run to the store, get a better brush, do a second coat. I have, and probably enough to do a second coat of just that. But if I need to, I will use beta strain number 2 to go over the top of it. And then over here, the giant hole you see cut out in the plexiglass was actually for my heat sink. It stuck out of my case about 3-4 inches, and so I needed a hole so I could actually put that on there. I've changed heat sinks now, but you can't exactly put a hole back, and honestly it doesn't matter. But I'm going to paint that with the number 3 strain. I wanted to kind of take a quick look at the ping pong balls that dried overnight. First off, my hands are a little wet, so I don't want to contaminate the subject. But so here is what dried overnight. There's 1, 2, and 3. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if that's how I painted them or if that's just how it dried. But you can see number 2 actually has a good consistency on there. One seemed to have, like, I don't know, spread out. 2 kind of the same thing, kind of congealed back together. On the sides, though, 3 looks good. 1 doesn't look too bad. And number 2 is a little weak. So, you know, the balls themselves, here's number 1. The thing I noticed about number 1 might have just been how I painted it. But it has a very nice, even coat. You can't really see any brush strokes. I mean, you can see grains and patterns because you'll never get rid of that unless you're using a really good airbrush and you've got a really good technique. But you'll never 100% get rid of brush strokes in a paint. Number 2, on the other hand, yeah, that's just yikes. Look how thin that is. You can see straight through the ball in some areas. It just dried out, very thin. Number three, I thought had the best, like, coverage, like depth of color to it. Like there's a lot of white underneath that white, if that makes sense. Whereas, you know, this is very thin, doesn't have very much white underneath that white. That's why you can see the yellow. This I felt didn't have quite as good coverage. You can kind of still see the red through a lot of that white, but on the other hand, you don't see the brush strokes that you really see in this one. You can really see me on the side there. So that's kind of why I'm going to go number 3 with that one. Did number 1 on that one, hoping that, you know, with the front of the case and the texturing and things like that, it'll kind of make a nice coverage, but I'll definitely need to do a second one. The interesting thing that I came out this morning too is, so I was using parchment paper over there, if you recall from a few minutes ago. But so number 1, they dried, and I don't know if it's just because of the way the parchment paper was, because, you know, they didn't really like peel off of this, but they peeled off the parchment paper rather interestingly. This one is a nice thin piece, and it's very paper-like. It does have a little bit of a latex feel to it, but it's very paper-like. Number 2, I just really want to document this. This isn't really interesting, but it's more, you know, documented for the beta test more than anything. But number 2 was very much more latex, rubbery. Like, you could bend it without it cracking. This one, if you bent it too much, it would start to kind of, you could feel little tears and cracks on it. This is number 3, and it is straight up plaster. Like, watch. Like, it just snaps. Yeah, so it's an interesting little observation is that, you know, more plaster on number 3, more your usual latex from number 2, and more of a kind of a thinner paper-like latex from number 1. Honestly, I think out of all the consistencies, this is probably the consistency that you're really looking for from a paint. You don't want something that's super thick. Again, this also just depends on how it dried up on the paper, but that's just the general feel of it as well. So yep, I'm gonna let this all dry. Once that's dry, I'm gonna shift it around, at least dry enough that I can touch it and move it. I'm gonna move it off the paper, move the other thing on there, get coat of number 3 on there. Prior to that, probably run to the store, grab a couple of brushes. Thankfully, there's a store real close by, just in and out. So hopefully that won't be too bad. So we'll be back in a few minutes for you, a few hours for me, and we'll see where we're at from there. Alright, we are back. It is the next day, and I don't think I could have screwed that up yesterday anymore if I had tried. So yeah, I did go back to the store, got myself a new brush, and of course, instead of like going out and checking over in the, you know, arts and crafts section to see what they might have over there too, I just went straight over to the paint section, found the first brush, I'm like, oh, that has nice soft bristles. What I didn't really think about is how stiff they were. I mean, sure, they're soft and fine, but they're real stiff. And so we got nice coverage, but these massive brush stroke marks just in the paint. Yeah, and the other thing with this paint brush is that it was really meant, you know, for painting walls, big areas, and so it does a really good job of taking a little bit of paint and holding on to it and spreading that out across a large area. What it doesn't do is put a lot of paint down where there's already paint. Like, I just put it down so back up. It's like that whole science equilibrium thing. And so it was really hard to actually get a decent, consistent layer with this brush and ended up using most of the paint. I just couldn't figure out why it was, taking forever to spread it out. And I went to go clean the brush out, and it was just, there's half the freaking bottle right there in the brush. So I used up pretty much all of strain 3 here on this. You can really see, I'm not going to pretend that I did a good job here. You can really see the brush strokes in it. You can even feel it on that one. Like these ones too. And then of course to top it off, last night I wasn't paying attention, didn't actually get the cap on all the way on this thing. Actually at all really, it was just sitting on top. And so yeah, so that's a nice, whatever's left in there is pretty much dry. So what we're looking at today, I saved you most of the boring part. At least this one still has half. Wow, still quite a bit in there, which is good because we're gonna really need it to go over that and redo that. And then interesting that this one didn't sink down like that one did. Like that one, you can really see how it's, sorry, I'm not even showing the camera, just showing myself. Kind of see, here, hold up the light, maybe you can actually, yeah, there you go. You can like really see how empty it is, how much is left in there. This one, it's just completely dry. I think that's because I left it open, so it just dried to the sides and instead of sinking back down. So yeah, so we will be skip the boring part of the actual painting again, and I'm going to come back over with strain 1 here, see what I can do, and any spots I need to touch up I'll hit with strain 2. That might actually manage to survive this whole process. One thing I did do with the taping, wow, that really kind of glued that tape in there, and we'll see how well that comes out. Basically I just ran a piece of tape over and then I just took an X-Acto knife right along the edge, so I got a good clean edge tape here. Wanted to make sure I didn't get too much, if any, really on the actual whatever that stuff is, plexiglass there. So yeah, so I'll hit it again here with these next 2 layers, and then we'll check back in, see where we are, and see about putting her together, and we'll take a look at the final product, hopefully here, well, a few moments for you, and hopefully within the day for me. Okay, so here is the final product of all that Culture Hustle paint job. Oh, this does not turn out nearly as well as I hoped it would, but that is purely because of my lack of skill and patience, and nothing else other than that. Do have to say this paint gets dirty fast, and there's really no way to clean it, which kind of sucks. This is just like, that's just been sitting on my desk, and that was just leaned up against something, and then of course I managed to get some nice big old scuff marks because it was leaning up against this side here. So, and like I said, I think I managed to melt the hinges on that thing, so the hinges don't quite fit on there. Not to mention the thickness of the paint is just doesn't really fit. And the holes from a previous cooler being in there that literally just stuck out like that far. But yeah, but there she is. That's the final product. Oh yeah, and then I realized after when I was putting this together, oh, there's this strip of tape right here that I had meant to paint white, or at least paint black, or paint red, or paint something. But instead, I have this nice silver thing. But that goes towards my wall anyways. I really don't care at this point. I'm kind of done with this project. It's been going on for too dang long. And so I'm just calling it. I wanted to at least show you that. And then I think I teased it in one of the earlier parts of this video. I wanted to actually show these as well. These were the, got some Pokemon Lego figurines, for the lack of a better word. Of course, the dang fins on this Gyarados keep falling. I'm not going to try and adjust the other one, but there's that guy. Up top here we got, oh, my flashlight's on, that's nice. There's a nice little Dragonite, he's pretty cool. Side shot of him, I like him. Bulbasaur, of course. Pull him down, he's pretty sturdy. So he's pretty cool. A little Onyx action. I like him because he's posable. You can like move his, there you go, hopefully I actually show it on the camera. But yeah, he's posable. You can actually move his pieces of his body around, manipulate him. You just kind of have to keep it in balance, otherwise it tips over. So Gengar, for some reason, or one of these, I think it was either Gengar or possibly Snorlax, or maybe even one of these other ones up here, didn't actually come with a base. I want to say it was Gengar didn't come with a base, so he's chilling on top of Snorlax. But there's Gengar and Snorlax. Those are pretty cool, a couple of my favorites. And of course, so Bulbasaur is my number one, he's my starter. But Eevee, I think, is just my favorite because, like, it just represents potential to me. I know it's kind of corny and like, oh, metaphorical and blah, blah, blah. But like, the fact that he has, what, 9 different evolutions is kind of cool. It's like he can be kind of whatever he wants to be, or she, or they, or whatever. So that's, yeah, that's my Eevee. So those are those. I teased them earlier. Also, I like the story of useless to badass with Gyarados. Dragonite, he's cuddly. Yeah, anyways, that's that. Thanks for kind of going on this little journey with me. That's pretty much it. Stick around, check out some of the other videos that I have. I should have some card unboxing videos, as well as that's kind of an awkward blue on the end of that, as well as a few other things I think possibly going up. But there is that. I'm also going to say I absolutely regret putting shards of glass on the front of my computer. It looks real cool, but now I got to like, ow, see, yeah, that's just a bad idea. In fact, don't open that. Good thing I will never be using those, or if I do, I will be rarely using them. And I will figure out some sort of solution to how to tape that. On the other hand, I do like this contrast. This is probably my favorite part right here, where the black meets the white. That looks pretty slick. Yep. All right. Thanks again. Take it easy. Stay safe out there.